Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
All right, full house tonight. It's kind of unusual, but that's great. I'd like to call to order the April 6, 2026 meeting of the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors. All supervisors are here in attendance as well as township staff. I'd ask you to please rise and we'll begin with the allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We do have agendas in the back. We begin with public comment for non-agenda items only. We just ask you to you can come to the front. It helps with the microphones to be able to pick up anything you'd like to say. And we just ask for your name. Anyone for public comment? First chance for that, sir. Yes.
Good evening, Chair members and Township Board. My name is Matthew Etrigan, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of my extended family, the Coca Haleys and the Crows. I have 10 years of professional experience with Burke's Homes and Sales, startup community, so I have a little bit of knowledge on right-of-ways and site triangles and access. And I'm here to talk about the intersection at Old Philadelphia Pike and Clover Heights Road with Noel's Cafe. When Noel's Cafe was approved, our family's first concern was the location isn't necessarily suited for a drive-through. We weren't notified of the approval from the township, and I think looking back, talked about it with all the members that live on Clover Heights Road, I think we'd be in a better shape than we are today. In September 2025, we shared our concerns directly with the township and the store owner. We were guided that it was kind of more of a wait and see approach. It's hard to know based on how much business they would be able to have. And we were willing to give a chance to move forward in good faith. Unfortunately, it's created the problems we were concerned about. A big issue has become the bus stop. The store owner has called the police on my mother-in-law because she cites blocking traffic or access to her business while waiting at the bus stop, which was at the stop sign there at Clover Heights Road. The bus stop was moved. We never requested that. These changes have caused friction, frustration in all of our lives due to the fact that we just don't feel the new pickup spots remotely acceptable as they just moved into another business that were like Squalic's lot. There's ongoing safety and operational concerns with the drive-through itself. There's no clearly designated entrance or exit signs. They have moved the planters down a little more past the stop sign, which I believe was a recommendation of the township. But I still believe their entrance is sitting within 75 feet of the center of Old Philly, which is usually site triangle levels. I'm not here expecting an immediate resolution tonight. This is a public comment. I'm respectfully requesting that the board adds this matter to the agenda for the April 20th meeting, so it has time to be reviewed and discussed. I always support local business, but I just believe this setup is affecting our family in ways that we feel are avoidable, ultimately because we believe Noel's Cafe is operating as a drive-through as a business on a lot and a building that is not susceptible to a drive-through. Appreciate your time and service to the township. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I am Leon Shunk. I am representing the Royal Catholic. This lot is a commercial zone lot. We went into this business basically with, we did not change anything to do with the parking lot. We basically paid from full build out the lake as well as the side road. Basically the employees have noticed over time that we've basically all people on the road, and so they're always maybe we on everything in our power. We basically gave the family that had concern options to park in a lot and walk down, and that was not acceptable to them. We never asked for the bus stop to be moved. That was something that the township and the school district obviously talked about behind our backs. We didn't know that it was me. So I guess to defend a little bit, we don't know what we've done wrong in this whole situation because we applied for the permits. It was always a drive-through. It wasn't something, I mean, it was a pizza joint many times before us. It was a chicken joint. We didn't change anything other than we went in and painted the wall and up. So this whole thing is a little bit of a shock to us, to say the least. I know the owner came down and talked to the township and the police department asking for suggestions. Any action that was taken was on their behalf more so than we were just looking for a friendly resolution. Everybody that's remotely close to her, meaning either beside, across the street, loves her, is a basically loyal customer to her. So we're a little unsure why families that can't even see the business have such a time. I think of the problem is bus stop has caused nothing but troubles, but in the reality of it all, I think over time, this lot has sat vacant for so long that it ended up being a community parking lot. Because we saw that when we went in and tried to open it up, there was people constantly parking in it that we didn't even know who and where they came from. So just a little defense on our part. We're open to suggestions. We're not looking to bring involved. The communication. But up to the right.
Thank you.
Just like to point out, I'm not aware of any staff member having conversations with the school district to move the bus stop.
Any other public comment for this section? There is a time toward the end of the meeting for additional public comment for non-agenda items. Anybody online? Any chat online? No. Okay, we'll move on to the next portion of our agenda. We have the consent agenda. As we began last year, we do post all of our consent agenda items. There are approvals for our agenda and our minutes of the last meeting, time extensions, financial security reduction, and approval to pay some of our more significant but regular bills. Entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
By Mr. Hayward, second by Mr. Gallagher. Any questions or comments or edits, any revisions, corrections? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Consent agenda approved. All right, next, some very positive things. We have swearing in, and we're sorry, Chief Zerby, because of illness cannot be here tonight, but we have swearing in of our new officer, Officer Owen Michael Bender. Ah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, as you're all well aware of the difficulties we've had with hiring in the current climate, whether it be people who are desiring to do the job or just finding a qualified applicant. I'm pleased to present Owen Bender to you tonight to be sworn in. He has had an investigation with no issues. He is from the local area. He was born in New Holland, lives in Leola with his wife and his nine-month-old son. He attended Veritas Academy in Leola, where he graduated and moved on to Millersville University, obtaining a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Marketing. Currently, he serves as a staff sergeant in the Air National Guard and is assigned to the 148th Air Support Operations Squadron. We are pleased to add him to our department. Colin, could you please come up here?
Standing. Oh, you have your copy, right? Yeah. All right, very good. You state date of birth.
I, Owen Michael Bender, born on October 22nd, 1987.
Being a duly appointed police officer of East Lampeter Township in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the ordinances of East Lampeter Township.
Being a duly appointed police officer of the East Lampeter Township in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the ordinance of East Lampeter Township.
And that I will serve the citizens honestly and faithfully by discharging the duty of my office with honor and fidelity.
And I will serve the citizens honestly, faithfully, by discharging the duties of my office with honor and fidelity.
I will perform all of the duties as a police officer in accordance with the law, obey orders, and conduct myself at all times in accordance with the rules and regulations set forth by the department.
All my duties as a police officer in accordance with the law, and I will obey orders and conduct myself at all times in accordance with the rules and regulations set forth by the department.
And I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without any consideration of class, color, creed, condition, race, sex, age, sexual orientation, national origin, or ancestry, handicap, or disability, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities.
I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without any consideration of class, color, creed, condition, race, sex, age, sexual orientation, national origin, or ancestry, disability, never employing the necessary requirements, never accepting gratuities.
Well, congratulations to the newest member of our department. Congratulations. Yeah, you want to introduce your family?
Far right here, my parents, Tim Bender, live in New Holland, born and raised there. My beautiful wife and son, Nicole and Benjamin, and my in-laws, Lynn and Lisa Allen, live here as well.
Great, thank you for coming.
Thank you for
Appreciate it. Yeah.
supporting.
All right, next we have additional acknowledgements and congratulations. We have our 2025 Fire Volunteer of the Year members from all of our departments. All right, so again, from our department, so Officer of the Year from Hand in Hand, Chris Petershine. Chris here? Okay. We'll make sure he gets his award from Rob's, Carl Heyman. Carl. For everybody. Okay, next up we have from Lafayette, Shelby Gennard. Last but not least, Stephen Stoltzfus from Whitmer. Stephen here? Okay, make sure he gets what he needs. All right.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So really, we know that's one of certain folks that can't be here with us anytime of reasons for it, but dedication, your courage, we really understand. And then we talk about all the areas of our community fire service. And just, we're so lucky to have all four dedicated people out working through, when we have difficulties, we have agreements, but we're really all coming together and cooperating together. So we really appreciate it. Congratulations again. All right, let's see. Okay. So next we have recognition. Here's a serve to fire service in East Lampeter Township. And tonight we recognize Sam King. Sam. Senator. We're going to tell you that Sam has been volunteering at hand in hand for 25 years, dedicated serving and protecting the Bird Hand and East Lampeter Township community. His selfless acts are really an example to everyone in the fire service. It's a great example of what I just talked about, the kind of people we have volunteering for us. So we're extremely grateful to him and all our volunteer fire companies for their service. And Sam's name is already projected in our lobby in the hand. So we'll make sure all of our volunteers get their awards. So thank you again. Okay, next on our agenda is hearing, comprehensive zoning text amendment hearing. This has been something we've been working on for a while. Jacob Bone, our Director of Planning, has been presenting to the Board of Supervisors over some proposed changes. We were working on this back in December, and we've been making refinements, making corrections. Some of them are just small typos, others are proposed changes. So we're ready to have a hearing on those changes. And at this time, I'll open it up. Our hearing has started. I'll ask if we have had proper advertising and notice of this hearing.
Yes, we have.
Jacob, we have. Okay, so I will start with our township to present. Jacob.
So as noted, the amendment of the proposed changes was previously presented before you back in December 2025. Justin's, well, not all of those, apologies. There's two new members that we have to present. And then we came back in January, took some advice, made some of those changes. I do want to note that there was original ordinance from the solicitor was two typos that were called right before advertising. They were fairly minor. One was regarding the maximum height for proposed signs. There was a typo in there saying the maximum height with the unit of square footage. So that's obviously you can't square footage in your maximum height. So that square footage removed, it's just feet. And then there was for Article 620.85, that was just an incorrect reference to article numbers. Those two typos were caught, and they were the actual ordinance change of the presented LMP was reflected those changes. So received the memo that kind of goes through all the consistencies, typos, and then also the changes related to implementing things from the housing plan. Really what I want to come here for to kind of address questions or clarifications That's kind of a number of changes, some of them a bit significant, especially regarding the housing study. So feel free to come at me with your questions.
Jacob, thank you for the attention to detail and dotting every I and crossing every T. I noted on page 7 of the Lincoln County Planning that they approved it with comments. And they have 4 comments. Any thought on those comments? Is that some future action we should consider? They didn't seem to be too detailed, but I'd love your perspective on the comments.
Yeah, so there was one comment regarding the changes for our manufactured home parks here. They're no longer classifying the front, side, rear setbacks as open space. That would be, I believe, the third comment from the county. So that would kind of what their concerns were saying, hey, we require larger lots. So actually, some of the changes to the housing study requiring to mitigate some of their concerns. I think that was the one kind of did what I addressed.
Sure. In general, though, they're very appreciative of the, so the zoning, the changes seem to make it more consistent with what our long-term plan is.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
And I just want to clarify, all our planning partners have looked at this.
Yeah, so this was correct. So this actually part of the requirement for ordinance change was to send this out to all our neighboring municipalities, and also our joint comprehensive plan, any other municipalities in that, and then to the county. So there was only comments received from the county, and then comments received by Upper Lake Township. I mean, yeah. So didn't hear anything back from the other partners, but most of them does. We have any fun.
Well, but I'll just echo, I appreciate the work you put into it, and then especially infusing the housing study and the housing look that we've been doing. No doubt that other municipalities will be contacting you and looking at this for an example, but very good job, and I appreciate the explanation. Any other summary changes, anything of a, you think, let's say large items that should be noted?
I would note for non-technical or amendment, I believe these would probably be the largest changes. Most significant would be allowing the multifamily dwelling, the R2 district. And then a pretty progressive change, just looking at amending, not requiring minimum parking requirements for residential uses in the MU district. Those are two fairly progressive changes from the housing study that we're proposing here.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Tiny homes. The classification has been changed yet because they're still moved onto the property with wheels. And so this doesn't address any of those concerns yet, correct?
No, not specifically.
All right. That's something that can be changed as the legislature.
Good is when you look at the lot coverage, max density. So since there's allowing more density, that could some degree, but doesn't really get into the details of actual tiny home classification. Having more things on lot coverage. Like that, maybe a little connection you can make.
The other issue, which I think you're gonna, is the fact that the building code doesn't allow for tiny homes as a manufactured home at this point. They're really considered a recreational vehicle.
There is some momentum
There
to change that.
That is correct.
Okay.
And to put it under the
Any other comments from board members?
Jacob, the essence of what I'm seeing is that we're allowing homeowners or the owner of the property to use more of the property rather than looking to go beyond the property And is there the allowance, does it change any of the stormwater requirements?
There's no change. Our stormwater requirements are being maintained, so there's requirements are still as stringent. as-
So whatever they are, as they make it more impervious or they have more covered ground, they may need to do something with stormwater.
And if it's not possible to address those issues, then what they want to do is.
Yeah,
you know,
good. Yeah, I think this is good land planning.
I would say also it's consistent with what the board has stated about maximum use of already developed land, not new land. And those changes seem to reflect that. Any public comment at this time? Anyone from the public on these matters of our planning and zoning? Hearing none. Take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Sorry.
Gallagher, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the hearing is closed. Pleasure of the board. We can take action on it. Privately, we can.
I would move approval of the zoning ordinance as presented with the typo adjustments that were mentioned prior to its publication.
Mr. Hayward. Second by Mr. Rudd. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion carries. We can thank you for your work, and staff, thank you for working together as a team on a very good job. All right, next on our agenda, old business, which we have none, so we'll move on to new business. 2026-01 Lancaster Mennonite Land Development Plan. I should say Lancaster Mennonite Schools, right? Lancaster Mennonite Schools.
Good evening.
Okay.
Jim Winger with Durkin on behalf of Lancaster Middle School.
Yeah.
We'd like to have a smaller landowner management plan on it. The plan that was submitted is focusing on the front building that won't be on school. Building would have. They are looking to consolidate their existing offices on the east end of the east wing. And with that, they went to a small addition in the east end, and that's a real entry of roughly 12. And that's what kept it into. And a couple of spaces. We currently have more. Showing much more than a little bit. That in a very quick nutshell is what they're proposing to do. The stormwater, we have less of an impact if we're adding green space. Parking's not really impacted, circulation's not really impacted. Cleaning out their existing building.
And that will be the main entrance. Not necessarily the school.
That's office space for the school.
Administrative space.
We had a couple comments yet from, big number of solutions. One of my staff asked, likely of the residual date was 3/30/26, which would have been 3/26. We did submit an escrow estimate for the improvements, which is very clear. And we'll add the waiting for the waiver, one modification for doing a preliminary plans instead.
Further from staff. I had a chance to visit the school and see what they had planned there, so they are sort of in a cramped space, the people that are in the administrative office.
Trying to be more effective with the space they have.
Right. Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chair, I would move the approval of the final land development plan for Lancaster Mennonite School Business Administrative Office as it's 2160 Lincoln Highway East.
By Mr. Hayward, second.
By my gentleman, subject to the David Miller's letter of February 3rd.
And he said that they had adjusted those things, so I was anticipating with those adjustments correctly made, but good point. Thank you, Tara.
Motion by Mr. Hayward, second by Mr. Rutt. Any other discussion or questions? On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on new business, item B, Plan 2026-09, Isaac Ash Stormwater Management Plan at 2090 Creek Hill Road. Staff, anything to start? Okay. Oh, your name, sir? Your name, sir? You're Isaac, okay?
Brad, would you like to tell the board what you're planning to do?
I'd like to add a echo dwelling for my mother-in-law. Because of her being up in age, we'd like to have a place for her to stay and have her figured as well, which would be our family. Looked at over 800 square feet, which we already have for their impact engineering, digital, that we needed for that, which, that's only they're not, the comment from EFA was, needed, there's a couple of things, one was the inlet drain that needed to be connected, which, I have pictures for that, unless you have something to. That was done back in December.
And Mr. Ash, did you send that to David Miller?
I don't think I did it, send it to.
You said that was a picture?
Yeah.
Yep.
I have those here as well. If you. Also, the other comment was the inlet drain for the. For stormwater leader. On, you know.
And sir, did you send those via mail or email or email to Jacob? Okay. I don't pass those down to that. Any comments, questions from the board?
I'm new to this and I appreciate the honoring your mother-in-law, I guess. Thank you. Is an echo temporary?
Tended to be temporary, yeah.
As long as the individual that's being used for it, but once it's no longer being used for that, it's removed? Okay.
With that. At your next meeting.
Okay.
You need to have approval, conditional approval of this, and then there would be an agreement that goes with this at your next meeting.
Thanks, Tara. That was my understanding. I just want to make sure I understood. This is great.
The agreement is recorded, and then once the echo is removed, the removal is.
And it's incumbent upon the landowner to do that.
Correct. And every year, the landowner would be responsible for certifying that the echo unit is still in use by the occupant that it's intended for.
What occurs, and I'm not suggesting this will occur, but what occurs if a sale of the property is done and the people move out? Does that mean that the new owner has to remove it, or does the previous owner have to remove it before it's sold?
The change in ownership.
Okay.
We've had some, Mr. Hayward, where the new owners also had a situation as an in-law that needed assistance or caregiving, and so a new agreement was signed.
Thank you.
So, Robert, my home has an echo.
Yeah.
Unit. So even my wife and I would move over to the Echo unit, we'd have to reapply
Okay.
to the township.
Yeah.
We are now in the Echo unit.
So if my children want to put us in an Echo, ask permission here. Okay. Thank you. Feel better. It'll make me feel much better.
Good. Anything else from the board? Have a motion?
I move that the stormwater management plan for Isaac Esch of 2090 Creek Hill Road be approved as recommended, and with the following through of all the details that Mr. Esch said we're going to be taken care of.
Well, as the March 20th.
Yes.
David Miller.
The VMA letter. I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Hayward, second by Mr. Gallagher. Any other comments? On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion carries. Good luck, Mr. Ash.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for honoring your parent.
Next on new business, item C, the resolution for sewer planning module for Smoketown Airport. I think this is an important step with the request for additional sewer capacity.
Right, so you haven't seen the plan yet, but Hometown Airport will be asking for it or coming through with a land. 3 additional hangars, or excuse me, 2 additional hangars, both for restrooms, and then a small shop, utility shop area, and then changes to 3 hangars. So the request is for 2 additional EDUs for sewer service at this location, and this to get the DEP process started.
So this is an approval of the resolution.
That's correct.
That's what's before us.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. 2 EDUs is, I don't see in this is the resolution. I don't see the EDUs in there. Or am I missing something?
Correct. It goes along with a letter
Okay.
that says that the city can actually serve those EDUs and treat them, and that we can have the capacity to transport them.
Okay. Okay. I would move the approval of the resolution for land revision to new land development for Smoketown Airport.
Motion by Mr. Hayward. Second by Mr. Lab. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. New business item D, the Enfield Drive traffic calming. I don't know what other word I would use. Calming proposal or
It's
options.
option. Okay. It was an application that was actually received here at the township using the township's traffic calming or speeding complaint form. This was received March 6th, provided to the Public Works Director on March 9th and to the Chief of Police on March 10th, who then went through 5 years of crash data at the location, finding 1 crash dating January 6, 2026 at 11:58 at the intersection of Enfield Road and Greenfield Road. The accident occurred due to Unit 1, who was traveling southeast on Enfield Road, failing to stop for a properly posted stop sign at the intersection of Greenfield Road. Unit 1 struck the passenger side of Unit 2, which was traveling southwest on Greenfield, and pushed Unit 2 into a stationary Unit 3, which was stopped facing northeast on Greenfield, preparing to turn left onto Enfield Road. The accident resulted in both injuries of passengers in Unit 2 and towing of all 3 vehicles. Chief Zerby noted that Unit 1 was traveling at a high rate of speed and was fleeing the previous vehicle accident in Lancaster City Police jurisdiction at the Costco. So the traffic calming and speeding complaints form indicates a number of options that the board can take as next steps Chief Zerby did deploy the speed monitoring signs that the township has and came back with 1 week's worth of data. I do know that I do believe that there are residents in the audience who did have concerns as to where the speed signs were placed.
When was that? When were they posted?
The week prior to the 23rd of March. You want to talk, ma'am?
Hi.
My name is Michelle Dyke, I'm in Stone Island, Enfield, quarters of the way. Then I have neighbors here that are towards the end by Pitney Road, I don't know, Shopweb, whatever. And the main concern, the accident was kind of one thing, and there were other accidents that I don't know why weren't reported. But the main concern is that I've lived in my home since 2015. The block consists of 20 homes. 1/3 we have people with disabilities that live there. We have senior citizens, me now being one of them, that live there. And the traffic, the volume increased and the speed increased. I'm really concerned that it's only a matter of time before someone is going to be stretched to the speed. And prior to submitting this, I would say over the last 8 years, I've contacted the police department several times, and they've come out and I've invited them to sit in my driveway to monitor speed. It's something we're all concerned about. One of the gentlemen with disabilities walks to Costco where he's employed, and he comes home in the evening and cars are going really fast. And I'm really afraid that someone's going to be injured. So I think if anyone. It's just, in the traffic in the area, it's increasing. Did you know that there's Costco's and Lowe's behind that area, the volume is just, I mean, the areas, there's been so much movement just in the time that I've lived here. We have Starbucks, and Sweet, traffic goes up and down that road to go to Lowe's and Costco's. It's, yeah, for sure. And now they're putting more into the end of Greenfield, which is just gonna increase.
Hi, my name's Bonnie. We live down at the other end near Pitney. First of all, I just want to, thank you for putting the speed monitoring signs up. We do appreciate it. So they were up twice. They just ended another one last week. 25. This one, I believe, from Greenfield down was at 30, and then from Pitney up was at 35. So we are the second house in from Pitney. So when people, so it's a monitoring sign, and it's like, and they're aware of it and they know it's gonna happen. So like this last one, because it was so much closer to our home, and like we're sitting on our couch, and when they come around the corner of Pitney, I mean, they take off, and it's like, and you just saw the brake lights going. The 25-mile-an-hour one, too, that was up further. People again go fast, they slow down. From the other way coming down, from Greenfield down, like that one, I would hope that they slow down coming that way, but it's like once they come down the hill, it's like they're barreling down the hill. We do have the townhouses and apartments across from us also. And there's little kids playing. There was a couple times throughout the last couple of years here. I mean, I'm not sure where the parents were, which is fine, but it's like they're by the road. I went over, I was like, guys, because of one car, like I heard the brakes go, and I went over and I'm like, you guys have to stay. You can't play on the road. Like you have to stay away from the road. So that's just a major concern. And I know we see data from these signs, but it's like when I was trying to look things up, and that too, it's just because it is a fencing, and people can actually see this, they call it like driver awareness. So it's like drivers know when it goes, I'm going to slow down. So that actually does help us because they are slowing down, but the sign was taken down, and you know exactly when it is, because it's like everybody is pretty, and I shouldn't say everybody, are back just going faster again. So that's more, like our concern there. And I mean, and I totally get our neighbors live at the corner. And it's just like, I mean, you pretty much take your life at your own risk when you're backing out of their driveway. But I mean, that's gonna be too. There has been an accident there. From that, there was an accident, but we believe that. But there was a lot of alcohol in the guy's car. So somebody came around the one night, just went like right into their push down. And then the police take down the car, the sheets and a lot of alcohol and things in there. So that was probably more due to that than yeah, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, so we just ask you to look at that, take note, like we totally get, this might not be a major concern for everybody. It's a little road in the township, but it's our road and we want our neighborhood to feel safe for everyone, and that is why we're here.
Any, just your observing, which is the greater volume, coming off of Greenfield or coming off of Enfield? I mean, off of Pitney.
Right, I wouldn't honestly know which one it would be more. It's just, I mean, they're like some nights, you'll see like cars like coming from Greenfield, over, and then you can see them coming from the other way. We have seen traffic from across from Lowe's, the apartment complex that is there. Like a lot of those are coming out and then, they come across and stuff there. I mean, it's a public road, so it's like, I'm not gonna, but it's like they go back and forth. I don't know, going up the sheets or wherever, but it's just, speed up, speed down and go. But there are certain times of the day, of course, it's gonna be busier than others, like work and all that good stuff.
So the police department changed the location of the monitors. What would you expect? I mean.
So they were actually, the first time they were actually up, like from our end, Pitney going up, it was up higher. And to be honest, when it was up higher, like when you would come around the corner, it actually lit up quicker than when it was down lower. So that alerted people, and it's like, and they started to slow down then. People are also aware, I mean, I was always aware of it, and I feel, I shouldn't say, again, can't speak for everybody, so I know I'm aware of that when it starts blinking, that's when it starts recording. And and it's telling you, so it's just like, until it starts blinking for them, it's like, that's why, like now when it wasn't blinking right away for people, it was just like they were going faster and then they slowed down. The one guy yesterday, anyway, and it was only one time, but it's just like I heard his tires squeal because he was going pretty fast. It was pretty quick.
Does the volume of traffic change if the Lowe's and Costco is closed?
But that, see that? With Lowe's, they're closed right now.
Just a question. So
But there's increased those sales that sheets.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think like with concepts, it's like even for me, just like driving. It's like, I mean, that's switching up there is a whole other ballgame, and it's just because people are going. So it's like I do see, like if I'm coming off there, because people know, like when that's lined up, they do go around and they come down. And so
In other words, they don't want to go through the parking lots of Costco and Lowe's. They're going down to basically the end of Sheets and taking a left on your street.
so far too, when you don't want to wait to turn left, you know what I mean? It's like it's this way, and they don't want to wait to turn right. Then they'll come. You know what I mean? They'll turn.
say on the record, I'm guilty of using. Make sure I'm driving this.
I've driven Enfield. It's just residential living. It's between that, just those two roads. That's all it is. And the apartments, because of the way you get into Sheets, you can't go to Hempstead and easily turn in. Because certain times of the day you've got to turn, it doesn't allow left into Sheets. And so you can't get in there unless, so they cut through Enfield.
Sure.
The concern is providing an unsafe environment for the residents, for the people who live there with children or elderly. They don't have the reaction time that the young folks did, and the young folks may not paying attention. So it's a residential street that's been seen increased sort of cut through traffic, as you said.
For traffic, and also, I mean, you know what, if we have cars going back and forth, I wouldn't have as much issue. It's the speed that they go when they're cutting through.
That was going to be my question. Is it the speed or the volume of the car?
Like, that's absolutely.
And most of your homes there, I think, have driveways off-street parking, but I can't be sure. I'm not on it that often. How many people are parking on the street? Not really many at all, right? Unless a visitor, probably.
Right.
Because everybody has a driveway.
People will park.
Mhm.
I just want to clarify, when you said a disabled person, there's not a group.
Two groups. Yeah, there's one, yeah, there's one directly across from me, 607, and there's one on the corner as well. Yeah, the one across from me, they're both group homes. The group homes, and they have people with disabilities living there, and they have staff there to take care of them. That was,
Related people living in the home with staffing.
yes, they have workers. They're
And I too, and just one last thing, I'm sorry, with the new development going in at High back there with all the apartments and everything too, it's like, we are concerned with all of that coming and going. Yeah.
Going to increase the amount of traffic. It's not the traffic though, it's people speeding.
Well, I mean, that's like, yeah, it's, I mean, if people drive safely, it's.
Yeah.
You're not.
And
The first people that have come in to complain, I can assure you of that. Fortunate, it's just
remind me of the speed limit, is it
25.
25 at that point? Yeah. Which is slow, which is appropriate. And you desire to maintain that 25 mile an hour? Okay.
Well, I feel like if it goes higher, than, I mean, with anything, then they'll go 2 miles an hour. I just tell you, it's like, I wish we had, yeah, I could sit out there and clock people, but it's, and we wouldn't be here if it was just one out of, 100. It's every day.
Yeah, I mean, you're right to come in and explain your situation. Apologize for that.
And the study showed that the people are driving faster than they should. Right. Knowing that it's being.
Yeah, people doing well over 60 on it.
They better come screeching halt when they get to the other end. Yeah.
Just like people come down and stare, it's like a quick stop. They do.
Stop. Yeah.
The road, they come flying by, you wait and they flying around. It's bad. Any cop can park in my driveway anytime they want. You can stop all your financial problems.
If local police had the radar control, there would be some changes, but
They do monitor in Pitney, they're there, we hear them there, so that's nice too.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
option wise, wasn't there, there was more of a complaint about where the signs were initially set up, the speed signs?
Yeah, initially, I'm on the Pitney side, I'm on the Greenfield side, you're Pitney side. And initially, they were set up like in 100 yards, maybe a little more, and like 100 yards the block. So you didn't really have enough time to get up the speed, so I asked them to move them more down to my house, which I'm like a third inch, and it could pick up the speed. And they didn't have enough time to turn the speed, but they get my, their, like.
So there is a process that is basically a universal process that they'll use to study the speed. And one of the things when we formally, and I think the township manager could tell us a little bit more about it as this goes, because speeding is probably the number one, it's not to minimize it at all. It's the number one complaint that comes. I think any one of us can say about where we live, it's just times of people just driving too fast, everybody's in a hurry. But there's always a chance that speed limit can be changed in the wrong direction. Do you want to expand on that, Tara?
So the speed study is done, and the 85th percentile of vehicles traveling on the roadway is over what the current speed limit posted is. It actually has to be increased at that speed that 85% of people are like. So we need to move forward in a way that addresses your concern, but may not be a full speed study. So the board may consider putting the speed monitoring different than a speed study, the speed monitoring signs out again. They might want to consider having direct PD to do traffic control or speed control out on Enfield Road. Those are some of the options they have, but moving into a full speed study with the traffic engineer may not, from the preliminary data, be the best option.
Knowing that we've been we're always cautious about that. I've not experienced one yet, but I know we have in the past.
I have not had a speed study that hasn't come in higher than what it's been posted. And that's, I believe, it's and state highway regulations.
Tara, Rochelle mentioned in her notes here that the thought of a speed bump would probably be an option.
So that would be tough. I think once we do one there, every road in the township will have speed humps on it. So it's not gonna say, it wouldn't. So it's kind of like, where do you start and stop? Who do you say no to? We're in a deficit, so we're trying to really, I'm not minimizing life or the value of that, but the reality is, where would you draw the line? I mean, I live on Whitmer Road. I've been there 23 years. Target opened the first year I bought it. I've been hit twice playing in my own driveway. We're 70 miles an hour over the hill. My house is 20 feet from the road. Sometimes the police will sit there once a year, maybe. You know, they're
paid for the speed bump.
Perfect. We get it.
But I'm wait for someone to get injured. And then we have nothing.
How does that work, Tara?
Slightly more than just installing a speed or a speed table is what I think you all are asking. The speed bump isn't really gonna do much, quite honestly, but a speed table where someone has to go up and slow down and continue to be slow. There's regulations that surround those.
Longer, flatter hump.
Speed table. So the regulations are that if you're at an unsignalized intersection, you have to be 150 feet in, and then they have to be 500 feet apart. If you're at a signalized intersection, you have to be 250 feet in. The other thing that goes with that is that's an increase in macadam in the roadway, and so you then have to take into account the drainage that comes off of that, because it's changing how the drainage is going, right? So the road should be, in general, designed that it flows to the edges, and your road does not have curbing and does not have stormwater facilities along it. It's just swaled along there. And so all of that would have to be taken, it would have to actually be designed by a traffic engineer.
About $300,000 for what, 3 speed bumps?
And based on the distance of Enfield, would there be a possibility of putting 2 in, or is only 1?
Field is just over 1,500 linear feet in length. So be a possibility of 2. They may be fairly close together. And then we have to also take in, Enfield's not just a flat road, right? So we have to take into account as we move through a study that it does this, right? It does this. Yeah. So that all of that gets factored into it. Again, not diminishing the concerns in any way, but all of that would need to be considered as we move forward.
I'm hearing Terry, you say that the speed table may be the least expensive expenditure.
I don't know that that's.
Okay.
So is there, would it make sense that you have more speeding on a weekend?
Get PD to sit a couple mornings a week.
Yeah.
A month.
See, to get the best data we can get, maybe without risking, it could be lining it up that way so that our police, not only that, they, you know, like every police force, you don't make everything you do predictable, but there are times to do things that are more effective. People slow down if they see a police car. People slow down when they see the radar, you know, so, I mean, but that's not a permanent solution, but new habits, you know, would be great. I'm not saying the tabled bump is not an answer we should see, but it's going to be expensive. It seems like we do that. So to get the best data, to set up our signs in the best location, and then also know the times where it's like, because I would think I would go to Costco in the mornings, generally on a weekend or something like that, and there's a lot of traffic there. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they were close to today, I was east on track today, but the police may have some data because, like I said, over the course of 8 years, I have asked them, and they have come out and sat in my driveway before. That's happened at least 2 to 3 times that I recall doing it. I was rookie back then, but so that some of that would be acceptable now, but I know it's been done before, so they may have something.
If we were and goes from our driveways, they'd be walking this.
Yeah, I think we probably should do some interventions like that first, and really being watchful of the time, that it could be a little more effective. And I think there could be a longer term item that we could discuss. I mean, there are plans for changes at the intersections in Hempstead
Hempstead and Greenfield, that's correct.
and Greenfield. So I know what looks like a quagmire right now is planned to be improved. And maybe that will reduce that cut through that people think they can do. I tend to think, I completely could be wrong, that it's local people that know it's there, because you're not really gonna know, you're not gonna know that street's even there to do that. And if you're trying to avoid the traffic at Costco and Lowe's, and you've got to go to the city and you're going Pitney all the way, you know, okay, I can get around all of it just going that. So I tend to think it's local. I don't know if you can even talk to the city a little bit about, you know, how that's going.
23 going directly into 30. I was curious if that was gonna change some of the traffic, but it didn't seem to make an impact.
I'm also hearing your concern that with the new high property apartments, the likelihood is that there's going to be more traffic.
Mid-size buildings going down there.
I'm not sure that people in general are using the Walnut Street extended bypass to the extent that they should be.
I thought maybe they could get to those apartments across from Lowe's that way, because I think we get a lot of that traffic. Because if you're in Greenfield, revenue to go down. Instead, Greenfield is administered revenue dealing with, that.
We certainly anticipate Greenfield North, the new apartments, that more people are going to use Walnut Street to go to the city and to go anywhere west. So, I mean, that's the whole idea of that exit being there, but
BAI facility, they're putting a driveway out the back onto Pitney, it looks like they are. So that was another concern about, I'm sure there's a lot of people gonna be working there and.
Actually, there is no physical connection to Pitney for that project.
Really?
The only access that will be had there is for PP&L at the station.
Okay, that's good to know. That's great, thank you.
well, if the board agrees, I'd like us to have our staff work with the police department on monitoring, continue to do it, but now let's look at high volume times and critical times and get some really good numbers so that we can look at it again. We can't forget about it. We appreciate you coming and talking about it. We don't want to create a worse situation by,
Right.
having something that could look differently. Your roads, it's nice and wide, but you don't have off-street. When you have off-street parking, we've known this, the wider the road, faster they go. Cutting those lanes down, they slow down. So, we could look at some other things there. Anybody else? Any other?
I agree with that.
Attention? Yeah, we really do appreciate you coming in. We'll follow Roger down there to make sure he's.
You will continue to email me updates. I will email updates. How will we be on?
Given what the board has just said, then I'll talk with Chief Zerby to deploy the monitoring funds again and to have them set up speed enforcement along Enfield and like that, those two intersections along with Enfield itself. That data, we'll probably put it out for a 2-week period, and then I probably shouldn't do this,
The
right?
signs were posted the second time. The signs were like further in the block. Didn't have the first.
I did not get that data. Only have the data.
So it's probably just.
Chair, I don't know if this is possible, but would you all like make it 2 dead ends? Put a barrier right in the middle? So you can't, it's not a through street. Just thinking, you can't speed through the barrier.
I'll tell you what we can do. Well, what we can do, it's actually next on our agenda item. We have what's called supervisor discussion items. And I'm going to propose that we add this to discussion items, which means every meeting we get an update about that particular issue. And we probably could do a speeding item on this because we do get these complaints. And and I don't mean to say it like that, complaints. It's a very valid thing. But that would be an easier way for us to stay on top of, what were the readings? What's it look like? We were just talking before about the best way to know many of the things on our agenda is we drive them ourselves and take a look at it. And I've noticed this board is doing that before our meetings. They're like, oh yeah, I went and checked that out. So we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
You too. So we'll move on to item 11, supervisor discussion items. First was the tow policy, parts and alarm fees. And Steve Zerby has been meeting with his group, I think at the end of March. We're meeting for additional discussion, Sharon.
It's my understanding that there was further discussion on the 2 tiers option under the tow policy. And that will move forward into future meetings with that tow group. And I believe that, he has 1 or 2 of the supervisors involved in those.
Item B is our cost savings to reduce deficit spending. Anything that we've gone, we just passed our zoning changes, but anything else in that?
No other cost savings.
And so I assume we're in agreement, then we can add speedy.
That's great.
Things like that.
I think I appreciate, Mr. Chairman, I would say any area in our township that has issues like that, we should be monitoring.
Would fall under safety. We can frame it that way, because other safety.
Well said, yeah. Any safety concerns?
All right, on to item 12, the action items. We have to reappoint Frank Hollingsworth to the Park Board with a term ending on May 5th, 2031. Very thankful. Mr. Hollingsworth has indicated his desire to remain on the board. Motion to reappoint him.
So moved.
Second.
Gallagher, Hayward, second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye, any opposed? Motion carries. We appreciate Frank being on the board. Item B on 12, appoint John Blowers to the Planning Commission, filling a vacant position with a term ending November 19, 2027. Tara, any background?
So Mr. Blowers indicated his willingness to serve on the planning commission should there become a vacancy, and Mr. Jansen Herr has recently indicated that he'll be moving out of the township, and so vacated his position on the planning commission. So this would fill the vacant term through November 19th, 2027.
Yeah, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move John Blowers be appointed to the Planning Commission, filling the vacant position with a term ending November 19, 2027.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hayward, second by Mr. Rudd. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I can go back. I was just wondering, looking at our room here, and wondering, Tara, whether we could investigate whether we could put LED lighting in here. Is this LED or is this?
Can't answer that off the top of my head.
Because we've been putting it in our places and it reduces the electric use to 1/10 of what the normal bulbs are. And it's just something as a potential cost savings, and both the electric company and the state have grants that will look to fund that. And it may be a way to improve, to cut costs. Just a suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
Just, I think we finished that vote on Mr. Flowers. Did Julie?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
And Rudd, and that's all I
Yeah, Mr. Hayward on the motion and Mr. Rudd on the second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye, any opposed? And motion carries. John is back with us. Very dedicated citizen, helping us on the planning commission. We appreciate that. All right, item C under 12, appoint Daryl Zimmerman to the Emergency Services Committee as a citizen representing East Lampere Township with a term ending December 31st, 2027.
Right, so Mr. Zimmerman reached out with the letter that you all have in your packets indicating his desire to serve on the Emergency Services Committee. I believe after Supervisor Rutt had a conversation with him about the position and what all of it entails. So this is currently a vacant position that has been vacant since the beginning of the year and would expire on 12/31 of 27.
Thank you, board. Motion. I'd like Mr. Rudd, as he usually does, makes an offer to somebody that can't refuse. What he is.
I would move Daryl Zimmerman to the Emergency Services Committee as representative with a term ending December 31st, 2027.
Motion by Mr. Hayward.
Sorry.
Laugh, all in favor.
Public comment out here.
Oh, pardon me. Yes, sir.
Question for the ESC. I was in the process of trying to fill that position. We have an open secretary spot. And my goal was to get someone in that spot that was a citizen, because we had a fire department that was willing to put someone in, but they wouldn't meet the resolution requirements. So that would be a question that I would have: is he willing to fill that open secretary spot? Because we currently have no fire department and or current ESC members that fill that secretary spot, which needs to be filled.
Appreciate that feedback. So we have a motion and a second. Any other conversation or comment on that point? Personally, I don't think it'll prevent us from appointing him, but we have to keep finding a secretary.
Well, if you fill that spot, that limits us even more. Was my. This wasn't presented to the ESD beforehand, so I wasn't able to comment on it.
Vacancies that are appointed by the Board of Supervisors do not need to go to the ESC prior to them being filled.
If I knew that, I would have presented the same thing before this week, that's what I'm saying. So we will continue to have an open secretary spot. It's not filled.
Rob, are you saying you've had somebody who was going to do it?
I was in the process of working on someone from the citizen side of filling that role in the township. But if he's willing to fill that, then that's not a problem.
Is there anything that would prevent us from having the ESC committee asking for another representative to assist them? As a representative? Yeah.
It's actually in the bylaws that it has to be a member of the.
So let me understand, the only person that can serve as a secretary would be the citizen representative?
They don't have any fire.
We can't get anybody to do it right now.
Okay, the challenge is no member of the committee is willing to serve as the secretary.
It's currently on the, yes, it's currently on the ESC board currently. No one wants to do it.
Gotcha.
So this would be the only opportunity to fill that. That's why I'm presenting that now.
Can you give me some perspective of the challenge of why no one wants to be a secretary?
From the fire department side, it's an additional task.
Yeah.
So, and then the citizen or the appointee from each fire department don't want it. There was someone from Whitmer was doing it. He turned it down. As a rep, citizen rep. And then we only have one open position that the township supervisors appoint. My goal was to put someone in that could fill that role.
Gotcha.
Well, the real issue is keeping minutes. Am I right? Maybe there's a technology answer.
I already submitted that.
Rob asked for the notes from the Zoom and they are just not at a point where they can be used.
I see that being a problem.
I mean,
Well, again, I'll go back to my question though, was could the committee or this body, if we did find someone who was willing to join the ESC committee, could we create and could we allow them to be on that committee as an at-large member? Can we check our bylaws to see if that might be?
That would not be an option
No.
under the bylaws.
Well, we have two options. One is we keep working on the people that are on the committee. And we keep working on the people that are on the committee.
Maybe we table this. Roger, maybe you should have a conversation with this Daryl, Mr. Zimmerman, and find out what interest level he has. And if he doesn't,
Probably not gonna be, doesn't want to do the secretary work.
So it seems that the ESC needs to be directed by the board. You need a secretary or you can't meet because there's no minutes of the committee.
Is everyone on the ESC committee, could they be the secretary?
Anyone on the committee could be a secretary.
how many members are there on the ESC?
2 supervisors, 2 supervisor appointed citizens, a representative and alternate from each fire company, and a citizen appointed from each fire company. The emergency services coordinator. And then you have 6.
So there are at least 5 citizens on the committee with this appointment. And none of the other citizens have a desire to be the secretary.
Right. There was a citizen rep from Whitmer that was doing, he declined position.
So that's, if I'm close to 15 people. Is that right? Yeah.
Roger, would you like to talk to Daryl about it?
perhaps tabling this until next meeting?
Yeah, I don't want to handcuff the ESC. And if you can't find somebody, you can't force somebody. And we gotta have minutes. So we either don't meet as an ESC until we get a secretary, or we have a month to, fix it. When's our next meeting?
Well, I think the issue is, we have someone that's willing to serve, a fifth citizen. And if none of the four already want to serve, it seems a little bit challenging for Roger to go back and say, in addition to this, you now want to take on the responsibility of being the secretary, because someone maybe new to the committee, just like I'm a newbie to the supervisors, may not have the context to come up to speed with what needs to be done. And typically, when they pass the secretarial responsibility on, someone's already training you to fill that role. So that seems to be an emergency services committee challenge, not just lovingly saying it may be difficult to put Mr. Yeah.
Let's hold off on the appointment. I would suggest we hold off on the appointment. And maybe Rob, some other people, maybe we can find that person to dual role. All the meetings are recorded, so I mean, if there is a gap in the minutes, if you're not fast enough to do the minutes, at least you have a backup source to write minutes. And I'm not sure. I'm going to go back and review what the minutes look like to see what sort of detail the committee is looking for.
Yeah, they're talking about 8 hours. That's what you used to do.
8 hours per meeting?
That's why I turned it down.
Terry, just some guidance. Mr. Hayward could rescind his original motion and adapt it, even though there was a second.
It would fail if there's no,
Yes. Yes, sir.
Table the appointment.
Yes, sir.
Until further action, so that was modified. And a second to that. Mr. Lab, if you continue with your second.
Yes, I mean.
We're tabling.
Yeah, table.
Tara, just out of curiosity, is there an AI solution that is approved for official minutes at a township level? Or is it that you're saying that the quality of somebody's online?
quality of the Zoom
I'm calling it a different solution.
is not sufficient enough for minutes.
It's a little translator.
No, I'm talking like there's these things we use at work. They're called, I forget the name, multiple things, little microphones and a card. I transcribes perfectly.
The speakers in here are not picking up every piece of the conversation. If you go back and watch any of our meetings, as soon as two people talk, it mutes. So it doesn't pick up any time that happens.
Which is virtually the whole time at an ESC meeting. Just kidding. Just kidding.
The other thing that happens is if you don't project your voice enough for these speakers, it does not pick you up at all.
And even if it does, as Mike said, if there are two people, or you said two people speaking at the same time, it can get, like patients. Does that mean it's a patient of a hospital or patients, which is a characteristic? And the translation comes through, someone said patients, but it said, oh, well, you're a hospital. No, I want the patients to deal with it. So even the AI, I use Otter AI for Zoom meetings and a great summary, but it needs to be thoughtfully reviewed. Yeah. But let's look into that more.
Yeah, it also has to do with the type of minutes you're going to take. If we've all served on boards, our board, you see the detail, but in some boards, the detail is just the main points. And then if something was voted on and who seconded and was it approved, those kinds of things. So
a summary of the actions.
Robert, I still do think we need to keep working on folks. I mean, there are some dedicated people there. They might end up doing it. So We can do this vote anyway. So we did not vote on the adjusted motion to table this appointment at this time. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And aye. Any opposed? And motion carries. Can do that without Roger's vote. Next item, D, endorse a tributary naming of Smith Run.
Received a letter here at the township from Mr. David Denlinger, and he, along with Stroud Foundation and Chesapeake Bay Foundation, are looking to name this proposed Smith Run indicated on the screen there. And the Smith Run is named after James and Alice Smith, who were given the warrant in 1734 for over 450 acres in this particular area that the stream runs through. There were 3 generations of Smiths on this farm as time went on. Mr. Denlinger has done all of that research to come up with this name and has been submitting the name to the United States Board of Names in order for the tributary that feeds into Mill Creek to names. He is asking if the board wishes to endorse the name. You do not have a requirement to endorse the name. If you so choose to endorse the name, then township staff will write a letter on your behalf.
I note in the discussion, the oldest map referencing the stream called it the Grove Run and Espen Shade Run. Is there any heritage to those names?
If there is, I am only provided the information that you have in front of you.
But he says that all of the neighbors support the naming.
We did provide that list.
Oh, look at that. Okay. Thank you.
In terms of the usual process we've gone through, right, like this, do you have some perspective?
I can tell you that in the 13 years I've been here, this is the first name thing that this board would go through.
I know it's pretty small tributary.
The board doesn't have to endorse it. The board can choose not to, the board can choose to write a letter. It's completely up to you.
Does the board supporting it assist it being named in honor of these people?
It would help Mr. Gallagher's cause.
Well, I'll be bold and say, since the neighbors that will be required to live with whatever name, I would move that we support the naming of this unnamed stream in East Lampeter Township as Smith Run.
And direct our staff to write such a letter.
Correct. Encouraging its naming.
Motion by Mr. Hayward. Second by Mr. Rudd. Any other discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you got to work on that one. I guess the only thing we'd hear afterward would just be whether it was approved or not, right?
You'll see it on a map.
Yeah. And next, our manager's report, Sarah.
So with the PSATs conference coming up, starting on April 18th, we will receive the resolutions for 2020. You appointed me your voting delegate. I would ask for your direction on whether or not you agree with the support or oppose of each of the resolutions that are listed there. There are 59 resolutions.
How many of these are repeats from last year?
There are a number of repeats. I believe they begin at 24/27.
Resolutions passed or not passed, how would you describe their impact?
So some of these resolutions are significant. The resolution 26-01 is in public and eliminating the cost of access for notices for residents and businesses to be in a newspaper of widespread spread. Then you have major newspapers such as the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette going out of business, and people getting their notices in a different way. The township, because we have a website, is required to post on our website the agenda at least 24 hours in advance. And that's not sufficient. We're required to do that, but it's not sufficient for public notification. So having our meeting advertised in a newspaper of general circulation is a requirement. Can be significant in cost, and there are just other methods available.
And just to clarify, when a resolution is adopted, it becomes part of PSAT policy.
It becomes something that they then lobby in the legislature.
So it's all influence.
Yes,
It may have zero influence or it may have some.
that's correct.
And the discussion here of the ones that, whether it's support or oppose, the committee is of PSATs is recommending a support or oppose. It's not PSATs as a whole, it's a committee that's reviewed each of these,
That's correct.
brings it to us, and you're seeking, do we approve your following this recommendation for each of these resolutions? Since you are our representative, do you feel comfortable with what they're recommending?
So I feel comfortable with 90% of them. I would say that there are a few in here that are similar, and some of those, are back to back, and they say support one and not the other, mainly because one is more narrow than the broader one. But there's two in here that are similar in nature that I would question a little further. Now, I don't serve on this committee, so I don't know if there was questioning of that, and that would be 2605, which states that PSATs opposes legislation that would mandate that municipalities pay for any state services such as state police, stormwater facilities, and pipelines on state roads. And then 2606 is that PSATs oppose actions, policies, and regulations of the Commonwealth and its departments and agencies that would require municipalities to pay for Commonwealth or department responsibilities and facilities or take ownership by permit or deed of state facilities, including roundabouts and stormwater facilities. These are saying basically the same thing. One is a little more comprehensive than the other, and so it's just one of those instances where I think they could have chosen one and not the other. But this is minor, quite honestly.
Chairman, I would move that we authorize our Kara Hitchin, representative of the PSATs conference, to vote as she feels appropriate based on her years of wisdom in East Lampeter Township.
Another comment.
Does it really require a motion? Is this?
It doesn't.
It doesn't really.
It's more of a conversation.
Okay. I think the intent is I value your experience and say, when there's those questions, like you've said, follow the wisdom that you bring to that process.
The other thing is, I'm always very leery of unfunded mandates. In my world, they should all be opposed. But I think, you know, in our deficit spending world, one's trying to push costs around to somebody else.
Well, we heard at the county supervisors meeting that they were looking to deal with this, you know, the Pittsburgh Gazette going out. And I'm concerned as we look at, we just approved some expenditures for Lancaster newspaper, which seems to be extraordinarily expensive. That's, it needs to be addressed. But I'm hearing from our legislators that they aren't addressing it.
So I'm hearing really what I believe you were starting to say in the motion. We don't have to have the motion, but the direction is that you would vote in what you believe is the best interest of East Lampeder Township. With all the reasons that Mr. Hayward said, there's probably no one in a better position to know what those specific items are than you. I'd advocate for that if anyone else has that.
And if you'd like, we can come when you oppose something and we can say, show us the money.
Right. Motion to adjourn.
Public comment.
No,
I'm sorry, second time for public comment.
Something available on our website for public?
It's not on, but it is on PSAT's one.
Going online, right? Public comment. Anything else?
I do believe it is. It is not, you know.
Thank you.
Other comments, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Gallagher, Mr. Hayward with the second, all in favor, signify